He's not zooming.
So as we get ready to start this meeting, I just want the public to know this meeting has been advertised properly in the paper. It was advertised last week for the meeting this evening. And so I just want to be on record that this is a special meeting of the Parks and Rec and that it was properly advertised.
Okay, call to order. The meeting started. Mr. Sharrett, can you do the roll call for us?
Certainly. Wade Pollock,
Here.
Peter Lake,
Here.
Caitlin Foy. We know she is on the
Here.
phone. Okay. William Postick is not here, and Desiree Tomasco.
Here.
We'll have a moment of silence. A pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's agenda, we'll go over item 4.1, consider approving the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I second it.
The motion was made by member Tomasco and seconded by member Lake. Motion moves forward.
Take the vote.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
It was unanimous. The motion moves forward.
Can we help you? What do you?
Yeah, I'm here to do some. Let's bring you over there.
Item 5, public comment for agenda items only. The hearing none. Item 6, new business. Item 6.1, discussion and possible action regarding the Gable Park basketball court mural. So we are up against the gun with getting the mural done because of repair requirements and the painting requirements. It's been a few years. So the high school has provided us with some concepts, but they're a little different than where we had originally started. Our request was for community, something that kind of reflected our community. And what we've gotten now is something that's just a little different. So we're going to review the concepts that were provided by the high school students. And there are some other concepts that were provided by the members of our committee and to Steve collect and then review tonight. So if we can go through, these are the concepts provided by the students. They're done in a heat sensory software program. They're meant to tone down whatever we had previously looked at and make it a little easier to accomplish the work for a period of time. So, I think we really need to consider the students' work because they did spend some time and effort on this. Does anyone have any comments on students' work or have any preferences on the choices, the concepts that were provided?
Well, I would like to thank the teacher, and the students that put so much work into this project. I really appreciate all their concepts. I do have a favorite of their concepts, but I realize we have a couple of others to look at also. So,
Which one is that? Just.
I would say, my favorite is probably, and favorite in a way that, I mean, maybe I felt was, achievable, because I'm not sure with the fading of the colors and things like that, how achievable that is. So achievable and, not as distracting to me is the first one. So that would be the one that of the student submitted. That I mean, I'm open to other ones, but that one that spoke to me the most. As achievable. How you have an art background. How achievable are the ones with the fading colors in and out?
It's called like an ombre technique,
Yeah,
and you put the two colors that are gonna be blended together next to each other.
okay.
And then you just wet edges of those, and then you just kind of rub them together. So it's not quite as bad as it seems.
I have no art skills, so to me that looked impossible.
So it's not as, I know it looks like it is, but you kind of blend it together. It's called ombre.
Okay,
My favorite was, I think the third from the bottom.
that one's nice too. I think that's a similar.
No,
you know?
I'm sorry. We must be the second from the bottom. Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
just kind of has a little more color to it.
Hmm.
And I think they could change the colors as well. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be these exact colors. If anyone thinks that they'll be too much, I mean, there was some concern about the world we're living in today and rainbows having message that might be offensive to some folks today. Don't know how.
Wait, which one are you speaking to right now?
I'm sorry, so it's the second from the bottom, Caitlin.
No, but I don't know if Caitlin, are you able to see what's on the screen?
No, I can't see the screen. I have the PowerPoint open, but I don't see exactly what you're looking at.
She has.
Let me ask this question, Caitlin, are you in such a way that you see us at all, or are you just in on phone?
No, I'm audio only. I'm calling in.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Thank you.
And the third one wasn't as bad either. They would be achievable. Just color.
At the beginning, Wade, you said something about we want something, a concept that reflects our Newtown Square community.
That was kind of the request, I think, that we sent out, that we would want something that reflected the community. Especially unity in our community was kind of the theme that we sent out.
Yeah, not sure that we quite hit the mark on that with this first set. Do we have other things other than the students' concepts to consider?
Yes, there was some collected by Steve, and I think he has a presentation on that. Well, Steve had come up with a few concepts that was in.
Okay, great.
Wait, while he's pulling those up, did the high school send any description or verbiage with what they sent?
There were a few of those that did have words on them, like unity in the community was on one of them.
But did they send anything that said,
No.
this is what it represents, or this is thematic of what they're trying to say with it?
No, they were kind of under the gun, and I think they did it in for a period of time.
I know they had their hands full with a lot of other murals they were working on at the
Yeah.
school.
I did speak with Karen, our teacher, and she did seem bombarded with a lot of work at the time. So this is just the basketball court from side, and just to give everyone an idea how big it is. Some of the concepts that were provided to Steve. And this is an aerial of the court itself. It's pretty big. The regulation lines are a little different than some of the pictures that we just saw, because I believe some of those pictures were from Canada. I think their regulation lines are a little different than ours. Steve had brought up, I think the next slide is the logo. Brought up putting the logo in the middle, and Steve has a presentation on that as well, in the middle of the basketball court. I did contact the company that and make a decal for us, so we wouldn't have to paint that. We discussed it with George about, the requirement to painting this would be pretty significant because it's very detailed. If we, left the stone features out of the building and some of the features out of the bushes behind it, we could probably have it painted. But there's a lot more detail in here than what you see. If you look at it up close, there's a lot of detail, require a lot of work. But that could be done in a 2-day period. Everything else goes. Decal is like $1,500, can be applied to the paint, what kind of paint it is, or it could be applied to the surface underneath of the paint. Past 2 years, up to 2 years. Guess it would then. That's about a 12-foot diameter. Steve had come up with some concepts for just using colors. So we wouldn't need to stick with the basic colors that he has here. We could change. We could add more colors, not have it so monotone. Some of the yes. And when we had first discussed this 2 years ago or more, Bill Potsik's input was that he would like to see that. He kept bringing it up during the meeting. Like to see that. I'm sure if Bill were here, he would speak.
So I think, we all know that there's chocolate and vanilla and butterscotch and chocolate chip mint ice cream because, we all have different tastes. And I think art is a very individual taste. So we could possibly all have different opinions. But I also think each one of us on the committee represents different people in our community, which is what's supposed to make up the committee. I personally feel like we live in a community with a lot of green space and we're so lucky. And I feel like there's a lot of natural beauty. And I would also say I would agree with Bill, and a more simplistic mural for me, if we didn't come up with anything representing the people, I think this represents the people in representing our township. And I don't have a preference between any of the background colors that we were shown. I do tend to like the monochromatic idea though, whether it be blue or white or green. I don't play on basketball courts, so I don't know what color works best for players. I did have a very small sampling and, full disclosure, one was my son. But, these young men were the class of 2017 from Marple Newtown. They do use the court. And, we went over the beautiful mural at Drexel Lodge, and they said, that's cool, that's awesome. I said, well, how would you feel about something like that on the basketball court? And the reaction was really, not quite that colorful. And they're like, why do we need anything? We kind of like it the way it is. So again, with my small sampling, I think something like this accomplishes where we're adding some interest and some color to our court. But I think we might be honoring people who like a more conservative, have more conservative taste, and maybe the players that don't want the busyness of something quite so colorful.
So could you pull up the overhead of, in the last presentation, Steve? Yeah, this presentation, yeah, so if you look at this, there's actually more color in this and
Yeah, and maybe two colors, because I don't know basketball terminology. So to me, that's in front of the net. I call that the alley. If that part was a different color as it shows on that picture, two colors works for me. I mean, three colors maybe, but I think nice kind of monotone to 1 to 2 colors is where I would personally be at with the project.
I think also for students or people who are have difference in learning styles, sometimes too many colors would be too confusing, perhaps. It would be something to go, wow, we have a different basketball court, but be able to see those white lines, or if we painted them black, I think simpler is better.
so Karen Can said that she actually has kids on the spectrum in her class. And some of them are actually extremely talented with art. So I don't know with that how much experience she has there. Caitlin, do you have any thoughts or?
Hi, Wade. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think that, maybe like a couple different colors sounds good. Then, we're sort of adding to what we currently have without overstimulating anybody from the community or, causing a distraction from the ball players. I do like the township logo in the middle. I think that's really beautiful. I wonder if the beige background, and I don't know if this was still, even up for discussion, but if the beige might be might show dirt too much or need more maintenance, but I don't know about that for sure.
I had that same thought though. I said,
Yeah.
oh, that might get dirty.
Yeah, it would, the white.
And then I felt like the black might be hotter than the green. So I was kind of
I think the black might attract a lot of sun, and I think maybe like a navy blue or a green or
green or blue is where I was.
something other than beige or black.
That one appeals to me, the blue and green.
Well, I think that we, I have to have some color in it.
How about that with like blue in the alley area?
Or if we use the colors within the logo.
Yeah, colors in the logo. I also really like how that one is blue all the way around. So since we're doing the whole basketball court, we would be doing all the way around, right? I think that's really nicely framed there.
The white lines are easy to see.
I mean, we can just have the construction company paint the thing. We wouldn't even need it, right?
Yeah, if we were doing something that would be more like what's out there now, just with different colors or adding a color or two in addition to the 2 colors that are there now. Yeah, I mean, a basketball surfacing company is what we would do. And again, if the committee were to decide that the logo was going to be the option, we could try to get that incorporated at the time. That could come along later if it had to. It wouldn't have to be done exactly at the same time. If we were worried about getting the court resurfaced and getting the job done, ideally, we'd like to get it painted right away, but if that had to come after, it technically could.
So can you pull the logo up a little more so we can see the colors within there?
What do you think of that light sky blue? That might be a nice color to pull out.
That's good. For the alleys.
Yeah, for what I call the alleys.
Yeah.
The proper word for that section.
I'm just gonna throw a mix out there just to have you think about something. I'm not saying that I like it. I don't even know if I like it. So
Okay.
when I say this, is there, based on a couple of the comments that you all made in regards to the students' work, is, if you felt, what I'm hearing you say is you might feel like the court would be too busy that way. What about doing the outside edge? Potentially bringing in some of their design in the outside edge that would be probably done in colors that were complementary to what the inside was. So I mean, I know you talked about you like the frame being solid, but I'm just thinking of a way in the moment, and I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just saying, if we wanted to honor kind of what the students did, but you're concerned about some of how much it was on the court itself, can you take a little bit of what they did, take a design, potentially kind of make it fit on the outside edge going around to give it something? I don't know. And you may say, we're not interested at all in that. I just throwing it out there to you as a possibility, understanding that it would probably have to change the color. Because I'm actually looking at it on this screen, it's different than it is on that screen. And so, it would be a little bit, I think this screen must have a color problem because I've been noticing that a lot lately. But anyway, the point being, there is a possibility of doing that. I don't know what that would do. And the reason what triggered that for me is the fourth slide on the one that Steve did or Steve put together that was outside images, it just had, it was actually tied into what was in the center slide, but it was I think it's the fourth slide down, Steve. That one, you can see that the outside actually has something different. I mean, it does tie back into what's inside, but I'm throwing that out as a kind of, it actually might take more work, to be honest with you. But it is a thought process if you wanted to honor a little bit of what the students did and at the same time try to accomplish. I think the thing that I would say is, if you're going to do that, you still have to figure out how to tie it back to who we are as a community and be able to explain that in some way. So that way you may say, no, it doesn't work. But I'm just throwing it out there.
So there is, there was a court that was, I think it was in Paris somewhere. And Karen and I talked about that, and that was kind of her last foot was that, if you can't go with one of these designs, you could go with this, which was some form of ombre, and it was more like a purple and blue colors, and I think there was a green at the end. And so you would start at the top and slowly ombre these colors down. It wouldn't really affect anyone's visuals. And that might be a choice as well. And it does add much more color to the community, which I know we're conservative and all that, but doesn't mean we can't have color in our community. So that was another option, and they would be willing to come in and do that. But I didn't provide a picture of it. I thought we might.
So it sounds like I don't know if we have to actually take this to a vote, and if we vote, is it now or is it the next meeting? Or are we just discussing and coming?
I think the challenge that you have, and I'm not, I think Wade has the driving point. I think for the school, if you wait to the next meeting, it's gonna be very hard for the school to do anything.
Right, okay.
Just because the school, we're at April 18th.
Right.
And your next meeting's beginning of May, and students will probably be out by right about beginning of June or so, right? So your time frame, we've got a very limited window if the students are going to be involved. And so that would be my only comment in if you choose to not make a decision right now.
Okay.
There's that. I think the other thing that George and I've talked about is we're very concerned about getting protective coating on the course, on the court. And that if it's put off much longer, we would just go ahead and repaint it as it is today or something similar just to get it protected. Because what we don't want to have happen is we don't want to get through the end of the season and get into next winter and have another winter. I mean, fortunately, we had a very mild winter this winter and didn't have a lot of freezing. But as the court is starting to show some signs of wear, it would actually, if there was ice and stuff, we would start seeing potentially some damage that would be much more difficult to, I won't say it wouldn't be impossible, but it'd be more difficult to repair. And so we want to get ahead of that. Is that a fair?
Yeah.
There's some maintenance requirements as well that
Yeah.
need to be addressed.
Right. I mean, and if you remember, I think it was 3 years ago, we had planned on repainting the court and for maintenance purposes. And that was when the idea of the mural had come up, but it needed to keep getting pushed back due to various circumstances. But yeah, I am getting very nervous now that we're 3 years in from when we had intended to do it.
So really what we're discussing is the court itself and now a border, and just for the sake of, moving it along, and I mean, maybe we just kind of all say what our preference would be and see if there's any matches. I mean, would that work? I'd go first.
So again, I would like to use the colors within the logo, which I think Steve is put in his presentation, and I really don't want monochrome.
Monochromatic.
Yeah.
So are we all for agreeing that we want to go with at least the township logo in the middle? I mean, it sounds like that's the route for the court middle. That was what and I'll go first. That's what I would prefer most. I appreciate all the work, but that's what I would prefer most for the middle.
Well, I think that middle would reflect our community, obviously. So, and I'm a simple kind of guy. Too much activity.
So again, the logo would be about 1,500. And like I said, I don't think painting it is an option, right? We might be able to find an artist to paint it. If we wanted to go that route, we could probably advertise.
Could that be put on after the whole court is done, sealed up?
Yes, it would have to be done that way, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be done at a later time, right? It's applied with a heat gun, it's like 1,500 degrees.
Yeah, I think that what I would, here's what I would say about whatever we did. If we decided on the logo, I think we would like to, I think the decal's an option. I would want to make sure we had a conversation with our court folks. If they had another suggestion that might, I mean, I love the concept of having the logo in the center. If it was only going to last 2 years and not look good at the end of 2 years or, end of 3 years. I mean, typically, I think this court, I don't know when it was painted before I came, but I mean, it's at least 8 years old right now.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that whatever we do has some life expectancy for the length of the time in which the court will be lasting. And so if there's another way of doing that has a longer last, even if it's a little bit more expensive up front, I would want George to reach out to our court folks just to see what the options are, if that makes sense. But I like the concept and doing that.
So for me, for my opinion, it would be logo in the middle, no more than 2 colors on the court and a solid border That's my opinion, and that's kind of where I stand on it.
Me, that has, I love the blue in the center and the blue outside. Lines can be seen, and it's in keeping with, you know, our beautiful octagonal house. Which is, I like what I see. If we wanted to do in the alleys, as you call them, Kate, Desiree, maybe pull that blue sky color out, which would, you know, which would, I think, tie the three circles together.
I guess I would prefer if this is the route we're gonna go, then the half circles to be done in the sky blue. Something like that, just, give it some brightness, so at least it stands out when you drive by and gives it some color. This looks like the same old stuff in conservative USA. And it wasn't.
I think,
No,
oh, I'm sorry, Rich.
I'm sorry.
I think that the logo in the center will be really nice, and I agree that the sky blue or teal or whatever color it is, that would be really nice, and that would add some color. I'm okay with 3 or 4 different colors if you wanted to do like the foul line, that the circle around the foul line, or the alley a different color. So I'm okay with 3 or 4 colors. I think that might brighten it up a little bit. I think that would enhance what's there in addition to the logo, but I'll go with majority.
Caitlin, how do you feel about the border? Are you feeling a solid border, or are you feeling more creative than that?
I guess it depends what's done on the court. Are we saying that it might be are we coloring the court 2 different colors or 3 different colors, and then I think a solid border is good? Or are you saying just to do the logo in the center, leave the court one color, and then put some design around the outside of the court lines?
I've taken a look at some courts, and so with the township logo in the middle, and then an extra 2 colors on the court, I kind of felt like more than 2 colors. So let's say it'd be the green and the sky blue. I mean, if we added like green, sky blue, and the burgundy, I kind of felt like that got busy when I saw it, and started almost looking elementary school ish to me, and didn't look kind of classic. Again, I'm a classic kind of.
I see what you mean with green, blue, and burgundy.
Can you change the colors on this, Steve? I have a thing I worked on at home. I recreated a basketball court in a PowerPoint, so I guess I could color things in here, but I really don't want to. Can you change any of the colors in here? Could you make the half circles the sky blue, and then the foul lines, circles, keep them whatever color, I guess. Okay.
Do you mean as we're sitting here, or
No.
look at later?
No.
I'm like, oh, I'm like, good. But I don't know much about computer either. Does he have a Mac over it?
Our goal was to present to the supervisors on Monday night. Right.
Yeah, so I think to walk out of here tonight, if you're wanting to present something to the supervisors Monday night, I think you should walk away saying, we want like say you decide you want this with just sky blue in the half circles at the top, and that's all you want. That's a very simple, that's an easy thing. We could do, Steve could do that, get it back out to you just for final approval in regards that, yeah, you like it that way. Or whoops, the sky blue is just too bright. We want to just stay with the more medium blue, and or whatever you decided, you could do that. I think as long as you said that's what you want, you could walk away and do that. If you said, if you walk away tonight and say, I think you have to be specific enough of what you're looking for is what I'm getting at. If you want to present it to the board,
How about if,
I will say this, if you're not presenting the school piece I think Monday night, it becomes a little more, Monday night, the movement for Monday night is not as important, and you meet in 2 weeks. We could get Steve to do a couple different designs based on what you've said tonight, and you could approve it at your meeting, at the first meeting in May.
Okay, that makes
And,
sense,
and
yeah.
then it could be on the agenda for the first meeting, at the first meeting in May. And George, I think time-wise, you would still be okay in trying to get this project done. So the biggest key is if you're wanting to use the school piece, we need approval, we need to get ready to go, and we're using the school because the school's doing something. If we're not going with the school piece, I think that you don't have the same rush in the process. I think you still want to move forward. I think we would want to have something by your meeting in May. I think Steve could take a couple of the ideas that you have stated, and we could throw some things together and give you 3 or 4 choices that, you could actually see on paper. I don't know if we could do anything where we transpose it onto the court with like in the background. And I know we don't have that capability, but we might be able to reach out to somebody who does, so that you could kind of almost take the one where you see our court today and basically recolor it and see what it looks like from up above. That kind of a picture. I don't know if we can do that, but I would try to see if we couldn't get that done with somebody. Hoping our engineer could do that for us. I know they have some capabilities of doing some of those kind of things. And so if we could do that, we would get that for you, and you could make a decision at the May meeting. If you're okay with that. If you really want to have this before the board on Monday night,
No,
yes, we can do that. But I think the real reason why you were pushing was if you were using a school design. And what I'm hearing you say as a group, that there's no, at this point, you don't have a school design that you're willing to go with. And if that's the case, I think you have a little bit of time, and you don't need to end up with something that you're not as sure how it would look, even if it's only on a piece like this. But if we could get it to look like in that setting, that would be ideal.
yes, perfect,
Okay, does that make sense?
yes.
Sure.
I think if you have more than one concept that you want, if you could give those to Steve tonight, so that Steve could go back and build those, that would be helpful. I've heard the one like blue, like it is now with the sky blue at the 2 halves. If there's something else that you want, if you can give that out, we'll get Steve to do a couple of those for you, and then we'll be ready to go at your next meeting.
I might say, I kind of think the sky blue would be that third color, but the dark blue of the border being in the half circles would complement, it would draw everything together, perhaps. You could do that like the darker blue. Because then that would break up those 2 areas.
You're saying sky blue in the half circle, and then
No,
dark blue in the,
no, just the dark blue in the top of the circles. Nothing in the bottom,
top of the circles,
where it's solid, the half circle.
not the dotted portion.
Yeah, I mean, you could do both, you could try it. But the dark blue would, I think, pull everything together with the township blue, the dark blue, and then the outside blue.
And no sky blue. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you could do both, so we could see both.
I think what you're saying is one or the other.
Yes.
You just like to see it both ways.
Yeah, so when I was talking the whole big half circles being sky blue, just because.
I'm gonna walk
Color.
up here just so that we're on the same page. When you're saying that, are you saying this whole piece?
I'm talking the big,
this.
no, I'm
Talking
talking
the
the,
biggest half circle.
Oh, the 3 point, the 3.
Oh, this piece.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
This,
I was considering just the half circle in the shooting.
We all got, that's why I'm asking
Right.
questions, so that we make.
We're all
sure.
talking the same.
So your one is saying this area here,
Yes,
which I honestly think when we do this, do we even have that line on the court today?
yes,
We do.
Okay, so but that line is here, right? It's not NBA length, it's high school length.
Yeah, high school comes up to the top.
Yeah, it's high school length. So just so everybody knows, this moves either this moves out to here or this moves down to here.
okay,
Okay, just so this is to here.
Right.
And so we can do that. So we'll do that. Any other things that you would like to see?
So. I could, yeah, maybe, can you pull up the overhead? That probably, we can explain it better than we're looking apples to apples here.
oh, there we go. So when I saw that, I was originally thinking half circle, but maybe we do this part. And I think you're saying all of this wave, all of it blue, or just this part?
All of it, all the outside, and then the inside would be whatever color.
Inside meaning this,
Yeah,
so.
just to give it some color pop, because like I said, we look like 1840s. 1641, that says.
I guess, like, looking at that, I might be preferential to going back to saying, I like it all green with just that alley that's burgundy blue, but I would go, I guess maybe we just need a combination of that.
So I'm gonna have, I'll work with Steve, come up with 4 or 5 designs
Cool.
that we can bring back to you.
Thank you.
Trying to make it look more like this, if we can, Steve, with the lines. Yeah, and then we'll try to, and I'll try to get it, so if I can, we'll try to do a couple designs, we'll try to send it over to our engineer and see if he can do it in light of the background of what you would see, like what it would look like. So if not, then you'll get just what you get on paper, and that will be it, but we'll see. But I think I hear what you're saying in regards to like what you would like to see,
Yeah, just some color.
just some color.
Otherwise, we're kind of back to where we started from. Stop the.
First of all, I just want to say thank you. I know that it's hard because you've asked students to get involved, and now we have the difficult time saying we're not going to go any further with them. But I want to say thank you. I need to step out. I was someplace I was supposed to be at 5:30, but I wanted to be here to help you walk through this, to make sure if you had any questions, we could work through it. So thank you for adding an extra night to look at something like this. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.